Can't know. You're live. There we go. I never know when it's starting for real. Um, hey, so I'm reading this book, the Checklist Manifesto. I'll have an official book review soon, but I had to share one thing that I came across today because many of you know in healthcare, and particularly the culture of nurses is just really bad right now. Not necessarily like the people in it, but just how they treat nurses. Turnover is extremely high. Um, Hospitals spend millions of dollars. I believe I've shared before the average hospital in America spends about $6 million a year on nurse turnover alone, which is insane. Like to me, that's a huge indicator that something's wrong and there's plenty to be fixed, right? This is just a small example of what could be done. The Checklist Manifesto. I came across this reading today. So he's talking about checklists in various scenarios. So in this one particularly, he's talking about in the OR, the operating room of a hospital, right? And that psychologists found that teams who know each other's names work more collaboratively, which is incredibly important in surgery because if people aren't working collaboratively, you might not speak up when appropriate, or you might not be willing to ask the right question or ask for help from the right people, right? So they implemented a checklist where they stop and make sure everybody knows each other's names before they start the surgery. So he says, I'm going to skip actually. At the Kaiser hospitals in Southern California, researchers had tested their checklist for 6 months in 3,500 operations. During that time, they found that their staff's average rating of the teamwork climate improved from good to outstanding. Employee satisfaction rose 19%. The rate of OR nurse turnover, the proportion leaving their jobs each year, dropped from 23% to 7%. They were losing almost a quarter of their nurses every year, just because they were dissatisfied with their jobs. And then when they decided to make sure that everybody knows each other's names and that the groups would then therefore be a bit more collaborative, the percentage of nurses leaving each year went all the way down to 7%, 23% to 7%, which is a fairly acceptable turnover rate in reality at 7%. I mean, you can still improve from there, but in nursing, there's so many different options and ways to change up your job with while still getting a similar paycheck or different hours, different things like that. But this little checklist improved like job satisfaction to the point that they dropped from 23% turnover to 7%. Like, what other little things could we be doing in our jobs, whether you're in healthcare or something else? Like, what else could you possibly be doing to help improve job satisfaction? Think of the millions of dollars they saved. Now, the OR is only one department of nursing, so maybe it wasn't millions at Kaiser, but it was several hundred thousand to reduce your turnover that much in that department. It just gets my mind thinking, like, there's got to be some really simple things that we could implement that would change culture at work, right? I'm currently have kind of a relevant experience going on right now that's in the opposite direction. So one thing that frequently happens is leadership becomes disconnected from frontline, right? I don't think that's foreign to anybody that's in a company bigger than about 10 people. So what happens is you have two types of employees in any company, right? There's those that support their clients. So whether you're in products or services, you are providing a product or service to your client, and there's somebody that's doing that, right? There's a frontline force. And then basically everyone else in the company's job is to help support that person or those people in supporting our customers, right? So you either support your customer or you support those who support your customers, if that makes sense. But what happens is if you get too many layers between, frontline and, upper management, then they don't really know what frontline is up to. And they may not be able to trust them, or they may not be able to set appropriate goals or bonuses, or a variety of different things that upper management is kind of tasked with. Now it's understandable that they do these things, but um, so what would be the easy route to figure out what your front line is doing and how I can support them? Well, the easy route is to make everybody come to me, right? If I'm up top and I'm going, okay, I need to know what everybody's doing in this company. It might be a very large company. It's like I'll create a spreadsheet. They can enter their data in there and they'll send it to me, and then I can take that spreadsheet, get a nice snapshot, and I'll make goals and things based on that. The problem is you basically took a capable, smart human that felt purpose and responsibility for a client, and instead of asking them what they need and how to support them, you basically said, I'm gonna make you write your activity down, and then I'm gonna set goals based on your activity. And that is the beginning of a slippery slope where we destroy trust, purpose. Our why gets decreased or even lost. Instead of that employee who you hired to, like manage humans and things like that, now feels, instead of feeling a responsibility to do that, they feel a responsibility to make their spreadsheet look the way that upper management wants it to look so that they can stay off the naughty list. And that is the exact opposite of a company that is truly innovative and moving quickly and like harnessing purpose in people and making real impact in the world. So, like, these kind of dynamics happen all the time across companies all over the place. And so, this is a very good example of like a simple thing that goes like, let's just make sure we know each other's name. And when everybody knows each other's name, like satisfaction goes up. So don't think that, telling your front staff to sign give you a report or something is just a simple thing. Yeah, the actual sheet is probably a simple thing. Like, you're going to do that, but your incentives, the emotional, mental, and what am I trying to say? I guess the emotional and mental association between that spreadsheet versus what they had before is a massive divide, and you are destroying your own culture by doing that, right? So anyway, I haven't really thought out a good way to message these things. I'm just sort of brainstorming right now on camera, but um, this checklist manifesto has had some really cool things in it that basically highlight like simple things that we overlook. We overlook a lot of small and simple things that actually make huge impact. I'll just briefly mention one more thing from this book where he starts early on. Like, our doctors and nurses and things are highly trained. Like physicians, they go through a ton of school, and then they go through a residency, and it's like a decade before we finally say, okay, you're officially able to go out and work on your own, right? You can't really get like better, like more training. Like, sure, there's things we can do to do a little bit better job, but like really on the whole, we have fantastically trained people, and they're very smart people, and for the most part. But even those people forget the most basic of things when you're in a complex scenario. So that doctor is thinking like congestive heart failure, COPD, like these are things that could kill a person instantly in this scenario. We find them in an OR, right? And so it's like we've gotta deal with these things. So the doctor's thinking about those complex things that they're highly trained for, and they forget to wash their hands before they start. They forget to use a sterile filled drape and properly place it before they, start the surgery. They didn't get to know everybody's name before they started the surgery. Now the nurse that notices something's wrong doesn't dare speak up. Like, small things, like these are not things that like you got to go through med school to figure out. But even the people who have gone through med school are screwing them up. just because it's simple, it's not the priority, it's something to overlook, you know? And so it's like, what are you overlooking? What messages are you sending? Like, you got to think about these things. It's critical to get to know the people on the front line that you're supporting. Make sure you support them the right way, or your turnover rate's going to be 23%. You're going to spend millions of dollars in hiring new staff every year. You're going to always have more mistakes because your staff is always new. Like, these things are critical. So I just had to share some of these ideas while they're fresh on my mind. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'm sure I'll catch you soon.